What's up, Scrappy Peeps? It's Del from Inky Quill, and we are getting embellishment chaotic today. All the embellishments. This layout goes a little bit crazy, but look, there's always a part of the page. If you're doing mixed media, it has to get ugly before it gets pretty. And I had no idea where this page was really going. I put the gesso on the background paper, which is from a paper pad, so it's very thin. I think it's from the Sunny Days paper pad. And I put the gesso down not knowing exactly what I wanted to do. I was considering doing a bit of packaging technique, but then I opened up my drawer where I keep all my mixed media supplies, and I gazed upon my texture paste, and I thought it'd been a little while since I'd dived into that, so I thought, let's get chunky. And boy, did this page get a little chunkier than I expected. So I've grabbed my Liquitex acrylic inks, and what I'm doing here is just very roughly marking where my photo is going to go. I've got a paint spatula, paint knife, and I'm mixing some of the acrylic ink with just your normal white texture paste. I like the Liquitex one. It's thick, but not too thick. And when you add the acrylic inks to the texture paste, because they are liquidy, it waters it down and makes it a lot flowier. So just be wary of that if you do try this technique, to not add too much acrylic ink, because otherwise you'll lose the thickness of the texture paste. You could also do this exact same thing with acrylic paint. You could add, if you add watercolors, the colors won't come out as saturated and as vibrant, but you could give it a go, see if you like it. But it would be more of a paler kind of pastel look. You could also use gelatos. I used to do that back in old school inky days. I'm sure I have lots of videos using texture paste and gelatos. You could also use just any sort of cheap acrylic paint. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but I wanted to do these rough kind of paint, not paint strokes, paint swipes. Is that what we can call it? Because I'm not using a paintbrush. You can see this last one was very, very liquidy, and I had a bit of trouble getting it to dry. So usually I can't walk away from a page. I have to just get it all done in one go. But I had to this time because this took 2 days to dry, peeps. Texture paste isn't one to use if you want to keep going with the layout straight away. I've grabbed my little Use It Up journal. I have process videos for this over on my Let's Get Inky YouTube channel, as well as on Patreon. And I have a flip through coming up, I do think, of my finished first one. I'm on to the second journal now, but I just slap extra paint whenever I have extra paint around, or I've used a stencil. I just pop it all in here if you're new to my channel and you haven't seen that before. So this is a couple of days later. I'm wearing the same hoodie because I filmed this when it was a little bit cooler and I lived in this hoodie. And I wanted to do some splatters, but of course I couldn't splat texture paste because it's far, far, far too thick in consistency. So I grabbed my watercolors and a watery loaded paintbrush, and I'm trying to roughly match the colors. I did a yellow towards the left, a greeny blue in the middle, and then a darker blue on the right hand side. I just felt like the brush swipes, not strokes, swipes, were a little lonely. They needed some splattering to help them blend into the background. This is a pic of Aaron with a couple of his siblings, and I'm matting it onto white cardstock first because this layout gets very busy, and I'm really glad that I did mat it with white cardstock first because it needed to pop a little bit. As you can see, the background is very, very warped, and I do, in the end, I'm not sure if I do it on camera or if I do it after I finish filming, but I do back this layout onto a thicker piece of cardstock just to give it a little bit more strength, because it turned out to be not just heavy with paint, but heavy with all of the stickers. This I've had this type of layout in mind for a while. I didn't exactly know what photo I was going to do, or what the composition of the page was going to be. But this is a brilliant idea if you're like me and you have a lot of half-used sticker sheets that don't have too many stickers left, and you just want the sticker sheets used up. It's time to move on to the next thing. So I went through a whole heap of old sticker sheets, and I am just matching embellishments roughly in the colours. And I think it's very easy to get caught up perfectly matching the colours. I know a lot of people do get frustrated matching things like papers from different collections that might have a slightly different shade of one colour, or using journaling cards or Project Life cards from different collections. But I like to challenge the colours and see if they can go together, even if they're slightly different. So it's a nice way to kind of let loose a little bit, and if there is ever a layout that epitomises my favourite motto in scrapping, which is stick and plonk, it is this layout. I think this is the stickiest, plonkiest layout that I've ever created. But boy oh boy, was it fun to do. You can see I'm using my wet glue to glue everything down, and that's for a couple of reasons. Number one, I never trust anything on top of mixed media. I've just had lots of times when it has fallen off in my albums, and especially texture paste. It's, as the name suggests, it's very textured, and so it's not flat, which is Adele, what textured means, but the surface that you're sticking it on isn't flat. And so if you're just using the adhesive on the back of a sticker, it may only stick to the highest point of that textury bit and not stick down very well. The second reason why I'm using wet glue is because even though I had left this layout for 2 days, it may have still been wet, and I may have been a little impatient and started gluing things down anyway. I am not a patient crafter, which is why you rarely see things like hand stitching or cut files on my pages. I did challenge myself last year to use both of those things in a series that I did over on Patreon called Challenge Yourself. So every month I would pick a different thing that I struggle with. Some of the other ones were like multicolour, butterflies. What else did I do? Large photos was another one, but I did one every single month. And hand stitching and cut files were two of the probably most stressful of that series, and I absolutely love the look of them. And one day I will gain the patience, but I think that day will be when I don't have a toddler or a baby. Maybe when the children are 18 and less stress. No, I can guarantee they're not less stress, are they, peeps? Here's a question for you. If you have children, or have cared for children, or have grandchildren, what do you think is the most challenging age range? I have very little experience, of course, but I would have to say 18 months to 2.5 was a fun ride. But yes, I'd like to know when I can plan to do some relaxing hand stitching and cut files in my parenting life when mama gets a little bit of a break. So while I'm yakking on, I'm just going through sticker sheet after sticker sheet. I started off with ones that were half finished, and then I went to my sticker books, because a lot of the time I get a bit perplexed with some of the icons that are often in these sticker books, like the pineapple that I just stuck down, or the bee, or birds. I have trouble with birds, or seashells. I have a bit of trouble with those types of things. So I was hoping to try and use as many of those as I possibly can on this page, and I'm really glad I used up a lot of bits. This is definitely something that I would love to repeat for maybe all of the colours of the rainbow. I actually filmed this video almost a year ago, and I filmed up a huge stash of crafty vids, so that I would have some videos while Violet was just a little bubba, and towards the end of my pregnancy, because I knew I wasn't feeling too well. And I'm really glad that I can finally pop this one up, because it's one of my favourite pages that I made at this point. And it just, I don't know, it just felt felt very free to just grab stickers that fell into a colour palette and not have to think too much about the placement and the balance, and balancing out my clusters and making sure that I had different hits of colours several times so that the page went well together. It was a really fun page to do. Then I needed my title, and I was considering just calling it XOXO Gossip Girl. Sorry, I have to say that after XOXO. If there's anyone of my era that was as addicted to Gossip Girl as I was, please let me know that I'm not the only one that can't say kiss hug without that tagline. But I had this little space on the table, and I had these tiny little alphas that I knew would just fit perfectly in the bottom here. And I just put love them because we do, and I thought it was just a nice simple title. This layout is so chaotically busy that there wasn't a great space for journaling, especially because the background was text. But that was okay, because this page is part of a series when we went away to visit Aaron's family, who live a few hours away, and I had already journaled on the pages either side of this, so I didn't need to add journaling to this one. But this is the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching, and if you like to see scrapbooking videos. I will see you very soon with another one, and grab those embellishment packs out and use them up, peeps. Stick and plonk to your heart's content. I love you guys, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.